that off. Hello. Hey out there, everybody. Hello. How's it going? I'm Aaron from Solace, back with you for yet another Solace Office Hours. It is April 28th, 2026. That's the future. It's crazy how time flies. Yeah. Hello, everybody. How's it going out there? So today we're back on the AI tip. We're going to be talking about a solution that we've built to help customers monitor and manage their Solace estate. And so to help me with that and to do all the hard work of presenting and everything, I'm going to bring my colleague Himanshu to the stage. Hello. Hey, Himanshu.
Hey, Aaron. How's it going?
Pretty good. How are you doing, man? Welcome to the stream. Again,
thank you.
You've done
a second or third time.
We've been third time. All right, I was just going to ask. So, based in New York, and not in the most ideal studio setting, I might add. You want to tell our live streamers what's happening there?
I got kicked out of my place for an hour and a half, so I'm in a coffee shop right now. Sorry for the background music if you hear it.
It's perfect timing. It's like all right, we're gonna bump the well-known and global live stream of the Solace Office Hours because you got some apartment work happening, and here we are. So apologies to everybody. Himanshu is there's a bit of background noise, and we'll do our best to kind of get our way through there. Anyway, so joining from New York, I'm in Toronto. Hello, everybody. It's a gray and rainy day here. If you're out there and you can hear us, say hello. Put up in the chat where you're joining us from. I got my little banner here. There we go. Where's that one? It's, where are you joining us from? Say hello. Oh, there's already a few comments. Let me just throw those up. Raphael, let's go AI Ops. Yes, that's what we're going to be talking about today. I think we're going to have to maybe define it just to make sure that people know. This music has been amped up. Which one's that, Nick? Was it my countdown or was it the background on Himanshu's live stream? It's a special guest, Himanshu, yes. And Christian, it is the future. I can't believe it's 2026. Where's our flying cars? We're still winning on those. Running Roach, good evening, all the way from Hong Kong. The week is going well. Help from Narnia. Oh, excellent. And Christian joining from London. All right, well done. Thanks, everybody. Keep saying hello if you're out there. Himanshu, why don't you just quickly introduce yourself for those that don't know who you are? And
Hey, everyone. So my name is Himanshu. I am based out of New York. I live in Jersey City nearby, but based out of the New York office in Midtown Manhattan near Bryant Park. Have been with Solace for about 6.5 years, and I'm a principal solutions architect working with our capital markets account. So all the investment banks and hedge funds, work closely with them to define their architecture, help solve any issues, and evangelize the latest and greatest features that Solace has to offer.
Latest and greatest, eh? Awesome. So a couple more chats, people out there very interested in this topic joining us. Serini from Raleigh, Go Wolfpack. Welcome to the stream. Thanks for joining us. Hey, Gaurav, Toronto and New York. Wow, two centers of the universe. Oh yeah, here we go. I don't know if Toronto is the center of the. I don't know. People from Toronto maybe think they're from the center of the universe. Joining from beautiful Ottawa. Welcome to the stream. Thanks for joining us. And Nick, Ball Ground, Georgia. Yes. All right. Well, thank you all for being here and for saying hello. It's always nice to hear from people. So, Himanshu, what are we talking about today? What is AI Ops, and what are we going to show?
So today we're going to be talking about AI Ops, and really it's a use case that's been there for some time since AI has been getting a lot of attention, but it's something that I'm really seeing get picked up very recently. I think a lot of vendors are starting to jump into the space, and you're starting to see different vendors come out with different offerings, and it's a use case that I really think has one of the best ROI in terms of all these companies are investing a lot into AI and their different use cases. It started with can we summarize our documents? Can people ask about HR policies? And that's all fine. That was 2023, 2024 maybe. And now we're seeing a more agentic use cases. And this is one where I think the investment matches the returns. So very excited to talk about that today and see how can it help all the Solace users who have to manage large Solace estates and the complexities that come with that, and how the solution can use AI to help you with that.
And like it probably goes without saying that, you know, this is we're demoing this using Solace for Solace brokers because we're very familiar with that. But there's nothing in here that's intrinsically like this is very Solace specific. This could be adapted to other middleware technologies, other database technologies, if you had MCP servers for those things and whatever. And it's an interesting kind of time in terms of the confluence of these kind of different, you know, regular companies, you know, every, you know, vehicle manufacturers, everybody's kind of moving to be more IT focused company. They have to be in this modern day and age. And now maybe they don't have that necessary skills and whatever to kind of manage and grow their computer side, their IT side of the business. So having AI to assist with that in terms of monitoring, managing, and the operations side, it's kind of a real cool, I don't know, confluence of forces out there. So,
yeah.
It's my opinion, but one more shout out. Oh, we have David from Hong Kong. Hello, welcome to the stream. Oh, and we just got one more. I just clicked on the wrong one. Vel from Singapore. Good evening. A couple evening folks joining us there. It's what? It's 10. I guess it's 10 o'clock p.m. So yeah. Hope you're having a great evening. All right, so Himanshu, we're going to be sharing your screen on your laptop. So hopefully you're going to have to. I'll have to just jump in and cut you off if I need to. But let's. Oh, you haven't shared your screen yet. You want to go ahead and share your screen on the thing?
I'm sharing it right now.
Oh, I can't hear you. Oh, I've lost my audio. Have I lost my audio? This happened last time. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, you can hear me. I can see your screen now. There we go. Let's just do that. I can't hear though, so hold on one second. I have to switch my. This happened on the last live stream. I'm just gonna put you on regular speaker here.
Testing.
Yeah, I can hear. All right.
Okay.
Sorry. I guess my streaming studio doesn't like my headphones or something. I don't know. All right. So Himanshu, over to you. Let's kick this off and tell us what you got.
Okay, so I'm going to just share very limited slides to just kind of frame the challenges that we're trying to solve, and then describe the solution that we have and the demo that I have built for today's session, and then I'll walk you through the demo itself. Right? So commonly, and someone, if you're working with a Solace large estate, like if you're in the messaging team, middleware team, like this is it for you, right? So you are probably familiar with all of these challenges that I'm going to talk about. And you know that when you're managing a large estate like 20, 30, 40, 50 plus appliances or software brokers, right? There's a lot going on, and you typically have limited resources. There's engineering team, where operations and support team with different kind of expertise in Solace. So you kind of have to cater to all of them, right? And typical issues that you have is just manual troubleshooting. So for example, you can have an issue with one of your brokers, and you're going to look at all of your logs data, your metrics data, your application logs, your live configuration on the broker itself to figure out where the issue is. And the more experienced you are with your Solace estate, you will kind of figure it out as you go, like, okay, I should be looking for these kind of patterns and all that, right? So there's a lot of knowledge that you have built over the years. So the people who are kind of joining recently won't have that kind of experience. And that takes a while. So every time an issue happens, every time a ticket comes in with, hey, I cannot access this broker, blah, blah, you kind of have to go through all those steps to troubleshoot and triangulate what the issue might be. And then you probably spend a lot of your time with just BAU tasks. These are simple tasks that are, keeping the lights on, just business as usual tasks, or in the bank, RTB, running the bank kind of tasks, which are, hey, can you create a queue for me? Or, hey, can you create a VPN for me? Or how do I get onboarded onto this broker and I want to use Java API, right? So all of these tasks that come in maybe from a ticketing system, how do you kind of improve your efficiency so you're not always bogged down with those tasks, and you're rather focusing on more engineering focused strategic tasks that help the state become more mature for your internal clients. Yeah. Those are all really good use cases for it. I just want a couple comments out there. People are noticing some of the background music. Val, sorry, it's if you missed it at the beginning, Himanshu is unfortunately having to present from a coffee shop
due to some last minute shenanigans at his house. So it is what it is, and apologies.
So enjoy the music.
Enjoy the music in the background. Yep, we're gonna have to see now. Very just unrelated. I want to see if AI can kind of clean up your audio recording once we're done with this. So like we'll I did a recording when I was in New Zealand driving in a car, and there was a lot of background, the car noises and stuff. And I found like an AI audio kind of cleaner upper like utility, and it sounded perfect. It sounded like I was just in a quiet meeting room. And I've played around with the kind of background noise reduction software using like algorithms and more traditional kind of ways of doing it. And the AI stuff worked much better. So we'll see if we can clean up this for the replay. But for now, it is what it is. So sorry, everybody. And we just got to deal with it. All right.
Go with the flow. Go with the flow.
Keep going, Himanshu. Yeah.
All right. And the other thing is, just creating a lot of reports. So you might want to know about the health check of your broker. So we see that in a lot of our customers who've been using us for like 10 plus years, right? They set the brokers up in a certain way 10 years ago. Things have progressed in a certain way over in a certain direction over the years, and it might not be according to the best practices as things have evolved. So can you do a health check quickly with the predefined best practices of the checks to run in a nicely formatted report that you can share internally with your internal stakeholders as well, without having to spend too much time? As well as, can you do capacity planning and trend analysis reports as well across these brokers to get an idea of, okay, like how has my capacity evolved in the last 5 months, 1 year, 2 years since I last time did those checks? And do I need to expand on my capacity in the next few months?
That's a huge one. Ideally, you'd have some kind of historical like time series database to kind of help drive that information. Otherwise, you'd have to be making that kind of report every month, I guess, and kind of just try to calculate or extrapolate out the numbers yourself, right? Looking at connection count growth, queue count growth, message rates, all these things. At some point, you're going to hit some limit on the broker, and so yeah, capacity analysis historically has been very kind of manual and time consuming. So we're helping that AI is definitely one of the strong ways to. All right. Yep.
And the last one is, like I mentioned, that with any product, there can be a steep learning curve. So especially in a large organization, large bank, you will have people who just joined 3 months ago to people who've been there for, in a bank, we've had someone for like the last 37 years working, right? So they have a lot of experience with different technologies, different ways of troubleshooting. They spent 10 plus years working with Solace. So how do you make sure that you kind of level the field as much as possible? Obviously, you're not going to get the same intelligence of someone who's been working with for 10 plus years right away. But how do you make sure that the person who recently joined can easily chat with the broker, can get access to different sets of data without having to learn, vendor-specific APIs, like our SAMP API, right? So we have all the tooling available, but do you really need to learn all that to be able to extract as much information from the broker as possible? You have to learn through some UI tooling that's there. So our goal is with the solution to tackle these 4 different types of challenges and make it very efficiency-driven solution. So the end game is to not replace anyone. It's really to make you more efficient. So rather than the BAU stuff that's taking up so much of your time, you're focusing more on the strategic stuff, adding new features, delivering those to your internal clients, getting more ROI from your Solace investment.
Yeah. Awesome.
All right. So moving on to the product itself. So what I'm going to show you today is the solution. So it's not a simple product that we just give it to you, you install it, and boom, you get the AI ops, right? So there's a lot to it, and the data that you provide to this product is a big part of it, big chunk of it. So if you don't have the data, you're not going to get the insights. I think we all agree on that. The product itself is Solace Agent Mesh. So we have used our product SAM to build the AI ops layer on top of it. So what you will get is a combination of our expertise from our forward deployed engineer, our product, which is Solace Agent Mesh, and the solution that we've built on top of this. And as time goes by, you will see the benefits of each of these, where as Solace Agent Mesh as a product improves, you're going to see more and more features that come out of that. The solution layer improves over time, as well as just the models. So when I was building this solution initially, I was playing around with some default model. It was one of those very cheap models. I hadn't really changed it, and the results weren't that great. And then someone recommended that I can go and update the model there, and like let's see if that makes any difference. And the difference was night and day. So even
that's what you recommended to me just fairly recently. So I started playing around with VS Code and Copilot, and I was complaining to Himanshu. This is literally like a couple of weeks ago. And I'm like, it's not good, man. It's making mistakes. It's editing JSON, putting things in wrong places. And he's like, what model are you using? Like, I don't know. And then I was like, oh, I'm using some default cheapo. And so, yeah, it's the models can make a big, really big difference in terms of the quality of your results, I guess. So
yeah, big difference. So for those of you who are not familiar with SAM, I'll give a quick pitch of what the product is.
Very quick, because we have quite a few videos on this, everybody. But for a deep dive, check out other office hours. But yeah, this is what it's built on.
So it's a product and a framework that really allows you to orchestrate your agents very easily, right? So there's the agent builder component, but I honestly say that I think in 2026, we're not trying to solve the how do you build an agent problem anymore. There are multiple tools available to do that very easy. And it's super, super easy in SAM as well. The main problem we're solving is how do you build a scalable enterprise system that can share data easily between these agents, give them access to exactly what they have. You're basically orchestrating large problems, breaking it down, and leveraging individual agents for their specific skills and tool sets, right?
Any kind of agent, whatever agent you want to bring.
Yes, exactly. And then there are different ways of interacting with this product framework through gateways. So I'll talk about 2 gateways as part of the solution. So that's a high-level pitch. There's a lot more to it. I'll show you as part of the demo, but then there are other videos you can look into to get more details.
Cool.
All right. So jumping on to the solution itself. So here's the solution. Now, this is what I built for the demo, which I'm going to show you today. So it's not the exact solution. If you were to go with our offering, that would work for you. And the idea is because every enterprise is different. So over here, we have 5 components that I'm showing you. Obviously, you will have the Solace broker estate. So these are your Solace appliances, software brokers, cloud brokers, whatever have you. And then the rest are, how are you capturing the necessary data that this solution needs to provide you with the insights? So for example, in my case, I am using Prometheus for metrics. You might be using InfluxDB or something else. For logs, I'm using OpenSearch. Splunk is another option that a lot of our clients use.
Elastic.
Right? So you can have that. And for ticketing, I'm using Jira. ServiceNow is another one. And for institutional knowledge-based data, I'm just putting them from files into a vector DB, but you could have Confluence Wiki or SharePoint, right? Point being, every organization is different.
If you had just like your logging going to like a file system, I wonder if like grep has an MCP server or, because like you're just straight text files, like.
Well, agents have access to file systems. They'll have tools to do that.
Christian's saying BYOA, bring your own agent, I guess. So yeah, bring whatever you want. And did make a comment about your audio quality. He's saying crisp.ai is the way to go. I think he uses that for kind of muffling out background noises. I think Sumit from Solace as well.
I think I used to have that at some point. Yeah.
And just want to say hi to Amar from Pakistan. Hello and welcome. Thank you for being here. All right. So MCP servers. Yeah. Next.
Yeah. So the point being is I'm showing you a sample implementation, but the solution that's the offering that is there, which is our AIOps accelerator, is meant to have our forward deploy engineer come in, assess what kind of tools you're using, and then build these integrations for you. So
that's right.
How do you integrate with InfluxDB? How do you integrate with Splunk? What MCP servers will you use? What ticketing service you're using? Integrate with that. All of that stuff. And then you have individual agents here that are directly interacting with these components. So I have a Solace agent that is using the Solace MCP server to interact with the Solace broker to get the live configurations. Then we have a Prometheus agent doing the same thing with Prometheus, OpenSearch agent, and so forth. And then we have a Jira agent as well that will be publishing results out to Jira. And then we have a RAG agent, which actually uses a RAG plugin that we have for SAM, and it's actually super easy to use. You just point it to internal, files or anything that you have that you want to generate embeddings for, put it into a vector database. And I'm using Postgres plus PG Vector for that. You could be using something else. And that allows you to basically provide context around your company's, your organization's institutional knowledge. So, okay, these are Solace brokers, but are they production? Are they development brokers? Are they QA? What is your SLA process? What is your onboarding process? Where are they located? Which data centers? All of that information that's very specific to your organization can be embedded and put into a vector database.
As your estate starts to scale and grow, I mean, keeping everything in like an Excel spreadsheet becomes rather difficult, and you eventually move to some kind of searchable interface, and then now you can just load up an LLM with all that information and just talk to it and ask it some questions. So quick comment, Running Roach is saying logs into Elk and then Elastic Agent. Yeah, I'm sure Elastic has an agent probably accessing via Logstash or whatever. Jameson has a long comment here. LLMs should be pretty good with bash tools grep out of the box. Oh, okay. You can create a skill or agent with more info about how you want it to use grep, and that's where you're storing your logs. Yeah, makes sense. I mean, it's grep and various Linux. Yeah, cat grep, little Perl one-liners. I still do a lot of that stuff when looking at log files for Solace. So, yeah, cool. That's good to know.
Yep.
All right, cool. Sorry, keep going, Himanshu.
So what I also have done is, so we're large. So we're designing this from a highly regulated capital markets financial services environment, right? As most of the large customers, not all of them, but many of them are, we're managing large Solace estates. So the other requirement that they have is they usually have a very air-gapped environment, which means your AI solution is not necessarily going to be able to reach out to Solace's online documentation to be able to verify and ground the agent's response, which is super important. And to do that, basically what I've done is taken an offline copy of our Solace documentation and just uploaded that into the vector database as well. So I'll show you how the
preloading it with some docs. Yeah, I guess, and then they would have their own LLMs like on-prem, and it's using that. So they're not calling out to the cloud agents for public LLMs, I guess, too.
Yeah, or they have a specific gateway that's kind of monitoring and tracking everything.
Okay.
So it can still be like deployed in Azure, like OpenAI's models you can deploy in Azure in your environment, and then you can have all of the calls go through some gateway, right? So we use Light LLM internally at Solace.
All right.
Yeah. Okay, so these are the internal. So these are the 5 simple component agents, I call them, and then you have more of these intelligence agents. So the main one is Solace Issue Analyzer, which basically every time a request comes in that is, hey, I have an issue with Solace, something is happening, it will get those requests. The orchestrator will send those requests to this agent, and then this agent is directed or has been instructed to leverage all the necessary underlying data that it needs to troubleshoot. So if it's an issue about spool quota being full, then it will look at your historical metrics, it will look at your historical logs, it will look at any institutional knowledge you have, it will look at your live configuration about your queues to come up with an analysis and provide that to you, very structured response. And that's what I will do today.
That's what we're going to see today, right? Looking at, all right, cool.
Yep. And then these agents are kind of to show you the art of the possible. Not every customer would want them. Not every customer would need them. But this is just to show you the kind of reports you can structure, reports you can generate. They're all template driven. They're very, very thorough. So, it's going to take time to generate them. It's going to take tokens to generate them. Doesn't mean you have to use them, but they're just going to show you what's possible. Then we have the gateways. So everyone is familiar with the chat interface that every AI product has. We have that too. However, I really wanted to make this from a middleware messaging team's point of view. And, you get a lot of tickets coming in. So you might get an email that generates a ticket, and then you're assigned a ticket from an app team, and then you're looking at what the issue was, and then you go to logs and metrics, trying to figure stuff out, post a comment, and done, right? I'm trying to mimic that workflow and improve that from a timing perspective. How quickly can we resolve the ticket and get your time freed up so you can focus on more strategic stuff? So this is where
this would fall more under the event-triggered AI versus kind of a
Yes.
chat with your data type use case. Those are some of the two ones that we kind of encounter quite a bit. So
exactly. This is why event-driven
like
is important.
so like a ticket gets created based on some log. The AI could go off and scrape a ton of data and like update the ticket with here's my first guess at what it could be or something like that. Is that
Exactly.
something
So it's like, human in the loop kind of setup where you will have as soon as a ticket comes in, depending on how much analysis needs to be done, within a few minutes you'll have a very comprehensive response. And then you look at the ticket, just look at the response and say, does it meet your requirements or not? And obviously over time it will get better. And at least you're not starting from point zero. You're now starting with 80% of the work that's already done. You add your human intelligence to it, and then you send it off to the internal client, and it really speeds up the time you spend on these issues.
Yeah. Now I know you can't see the screen because you're only on your laptop there, but we have a question up here from Gaurav asking, how does an operator know what the issue is with Solace institutional knowledge? And I guess we would answer that in terms of, no, we would be looking at the logs, we'd be looking at the metrics. Again, whether a ticket maybe is created, which are generally triggered by those types of things, so people are familiar with kind of different severity levels, warn, error, critical. These are typically generate a ticket, a trouble ticket for someone to go and take a look at. So that is, I guess, by operator, if you mean a person, that is usually how it is.
So the RAG pipeline, or maybe the orchestrator.
Yeah,
maybe that's what they meant. So the orchestrator would use an LLM to figure out where to send which agent to route the message to, request to, and then that uses its own LLM to then figure out what to use, which agents to use.
That's a feature of the Solace Agent Mesh, is the fact that we have this orchestrator agent that basically takes an incoming query from a human or from whatever and knows which agents it needs to talk to and how to kind of like put together the responses from a heterogeneous group of agents, and kind of like synthesize a product based on multiple agents. So yeah, you're right. It could be that as well.
Yep. And the RAG agent is really meant to personalize the responses as much as possible based on your institutional knowledge and leverage Solace's documentation. So as I was building this, there's a lot of ways things can go wrong, especially from a hallucination perspective. So you could have a lot of data coming in from like log analysis, metric analysis, but the agents can hallucinate. So your job is to try to ground them as much as possible. And the way we have done that is to say, leverage RAG agent as much as possible. Always try to connect it with the Solace docs to verify stuff. Always provide citations when you make a claim. So I'll show you that in the documentation, in the demo. So making sure that you're getting all this detailed response, but how do you get a level of confidence that like this is accurate versus the agent is just making up stuff. So a lot of work has been done to improve the quality of the response, and it's always a work in progress with the AI, at least in 2026. So another thing that's a good segue into the eval framework that we have. Sam already has an offline eval framework, but what we wanted to do was build a real-time eval framework as well. So every time you get a response back, you are evaluating the quality of the response using LLM as a judge model, and I'll show you that in real time too. So are we ready for a demo?
Well, one quick, we got a comment or a question here from Running Roach. Let me just flash it up here. Alert generated. Oh, one thing I want to say about hallucinations, also anything math related. We've seen that LLMs are not great at math, relying on like a SQL agent to help crunch numbers and stuff often is the way to go. And Sam, same kind of thing. We like to leverage SQL agents and things for aggregate data. Running Roach says, alert generated at point X in Solace. CMDB knows underlying infra dependency, looks up alert and dependent systems along the same time while analyzing the message generated by Solace, e.g. disconnect. It was in a response to an earlier question about how does it know about the Solace, no, it's a Solace issue, right? So yeah, often maybe you get a Q high alert. Maybe you could then go and figure out which VPN that is, who owns it. you know, what typically application is usually bound to it. Maybe you can see that that application disconnected a while ago. I mean, there's all sorts of data in the metrics and the logs that you could program your agents to go and kind of figure this stuff out. So thanks for answering the question there. We didn't have to. Yeah, awesome. Yeah, let's do a demo. Enough
All right.
slides. Let's get
Enough
into
slides. All right, so now we understand. Woo.
it. Whoa, meta.
Okay. All right. So this is Solace Agent Mesh. This is the agent view. So you can see all the 9 agents that I showed you on the diagram. They're all over here. You can see kind of in a tabular manner.
Zoom in a few clicks there, Himanshu. Just yeah.
So you can always go to a specific agent. For example, the Solace MCP agent. Look at its definition. What kind of skills and tools does it have available to it? And then you can directly chat with this agent specifically. Over the last few weeks, we have also introduced new features like workflows, connectors, and gateways that you can manage from the UI. So a lot of improvements to the product itself, which the solution overall is going to benefit from, right? Okay, so let's look at the.
Before you jump in, I just want to say, if anybody is out there, oh, your camera's frozen. I can still hear you, and your screen's still moving, just your camera. That's weird. For anybody that maybe has tried our Solace MCP server, because it's out there on GitHub, that was a kind of a prototype, beta type one that we made quite a few months ago. There is a new one coming, which is going to have a lot more power capability and performance. So stay tuned for that. So if you've played around with the Solace MCP server that we currently have available, there is a brand new one coming very soon with a lot more power and capability. So
yes. All right. So okay, so have all the agents set up. We can now have projects as well. I have a demo project set up for basically all the queries are pre-run to kind of organize them better. And here's an example. So let's start with something simple, which is just listing a bunch of queues. So can you list all the queues in the trading VPN on EMEA 7 program? So I have my demo environment connected to a broker that we have running in our London lab. We call it EMEA 7, and I have a VPN on it called trading. And I'm asking it, can you just list all the queues? Something very basic, right? And here it goes. It gets me all the 3 queues that I have on that broker, and gives me a bunch of information about each of those queues configuration as well. So
cool.
Pretty basic. Just talk to your broker, chat with your broker. Use case. You will see the citations here. So again, trying to ground the agent as much as possible to be sort of accountable for where the responses are coming from. And if you see something that's a little doubtful, you can always say, okay, this output came from the Solace MCP agent, so let me go debug something with that, right? So
show your references.
Citations are always good, right? Okay, so very basic use case over here. And then if we go to a slightly more detailed one where I'm not just listing the queues, but asking for a health of the whole VPN. So still going to use the same Solace MCP agent, but you're going to get a lot more data now. It's going to do a lot more work. And you can see it's getting operational data. Is it up? Is the VPN up? What's the config status? What are the connection statistics? It's going to show you all the client usernames that are set up, everything, the uptime, what are the ingress and egress that's happening. So this is live data from, it goes, runs some SAMP queries under the hood and gets you that data. It's not hitting any historical database metrics or
current SAMP statistics and metrics.
Correct. So this is somewhere where, your support person, operations team don't need to know how to use SAMP, don't need to know how to use Pub Support Manager or Sol Admin. They can just kind of chat or CLI. Yeah, you can just chat with this interface using human language, right? Here it's detecting that you don't have TLS enabled for SMF and web ports, so picking up on some stuff that you should be doing, and so a lot more detail. And then you can see again the source is single agent, so we've not dealt with multiple agents yet. Okay. All right, so let's do something more complex. So we will go into the spool quota detail. So here's an example where user internal client might send you like, hey, my application is running into this issue. These are the application logs. It says spool over quota. Anyone who's been working with Solace will figure out what this issue is. But let's go through the.
So you're simulating what, like an app team person saying, "Hey, I got this error log," and what
exactly.
is
it? I'm using this trading VPN on EMEA 7 broker, so they're telling you what broker they're connecting to, and this is the application logs. So spool over quota. Right. So can you please investigate what the issue might be? Right, a typical request that a middleware team might get. Right. So copy paste that, and then here goes the whole analysis. So I've gotten some feedback from internal teams that the response is too comprehensive. And my point was that too verbose. That for the demo, I'm trying to show what's possible, right? So you want to be able to, especially with AI, and as you're getting onboarded, you want to doubt it. You don't want to take everything for granted, right? So you should always be suspicious of what the output is, and that's why I put stuff like confidence level here, because sometimes what might happen is systems are systems. Things might go offline, some issue, right? Like maybe an agent crashes, something can happen. And what AI would do is, any solution, it will try to get whatever data it can and provide you with an answer in a very confident manner that you're not going to doubt it. So I put this, instruction to add a confidence level based on what data it was able to access, and if there was any issues with any of the agents, then it would point that out. Right. So this is always a good number to look at. And then there's it breaks down the whole technical analysis. You can see it's doing historical trends, critical finding, and then here you can see that this information was from the Solace issue analyzer agent using the Solace MCP agent to get the VPN details. So it's going to give you that sort of lineage. Whereas this one was Solace issue analyzer calling the Prometheus metrics MCP.
Yeah, I was going to ask. Yeah, cool.
Which ran the query range tool that it had using these parameters to run the query. Again, as much data as you can get on what exactly was done to get me this insight, right? And so forth. So you can keep going. There's a lot of information. It's building this whole evidence chain based on all the data. Log showed 13,238 discard events, and then this error message showed up over 80 minutes. So I'm simulating these errors behind the scene. So that's why it's happening so frequently for demo purposes. But it doesn't just stop at identifying the issue. It's designed to tell you what you should do and how quickly you should do something based on the criticality of the issue. So it's saying, these are the recommendations for your actions, and this is the immediate action. Do this, identify your slow subscriber, increase the spool quota, so forth. And then later on, it will recommend you that you start looking at application failures and doing some kind of how do you scale consumer applications and all that. So a lot more, how do you do some capacity analysis as well for your queues as a long-term action. So
that's very comprehensive. That is, like, the fact that you can build in kind of institutional knowledge, more than just best practices or IK, like internal knowledge bases and this and that, or what VPNs are where and who owns what, but also like your traffic patterns and applications might see certain things more than others, right? You might say a common problem in our estate is because we're using a wrapper, it does this or this or that. You could train the AI ops to basically keep an eye out for certain things across all of your brokers and all of your logs, for example, right? Certain things that happen more in your environment than others, rather than just generic Solace errors. Maybe that's something that you could build in there. We do have a question, Himanshu. Your camera is still frozen for me. Is it just me? Put it in the chat. Is he frozen for other people? Or just
look
me?
Good in the frozen state? Or not?
Yeah, it's not bad. It looks like you're talking, so it's gonna work. Running Roach is asking, how do you prevent overload on the broker using SEMP? For our trading VPN, we have close to 100,000 durable and non-durable queues, which overloads the broker during a full summary SEMP. Well, the answer is it's still using SEMP, so it's still going to require SEMP access. And yeah, the only way we've seen that to kind of help reduce that overload, obviously there's other monitoring happening at the same time, is to space out your querying. You just can't hammer it in a tight loop over 100,000 SEMP requests. It has nothing to do with AI, although to be fair, Himanshu, I mean, obviously, if you're looking at certain configuration data, maybe that is represented in your time series database. Maybe it's already in your stored backend. Maybe not Prometheus, because that's kind of integer or numerical only, but InfluxDB can store strings and Booleans. So you could have some of your configuration stored in another place, right? So
yes, I was going to say that if you have all these other data sets, you don't necessarily need to rely on pouring a production broker live during trading hours, right? So you could instruct the agent to prioritize the other data sources, and only if you don't have anything there, then reach out to the Solace MCP agent. And these are all the things that, depending on your use cases, our forward deployed engineer would work with you to model the agents to behave like that.
100%. Just yesterday, we had a similar presentation with one of my customers here in Toronto, and they're big users of ITRS Genios. And so obviously we have an integration with that. We pump all of our kind of monitoring and metric data into Genios, ITRS. And from a quick cursory look, I didn't see an MCP server for them, but I mean, we do know how to interface with the gateway programmatically because we do put data in there. We could also be querying data out of it. So, for example, trying to keep an eye across all your queues, that data might already be somewhere in your monitoring infrastructure. And so having not SAM, but sorry, the AI solution go and kind of grab what it needs to from there, could be a better approach, right?
Yeah, and again, like integration is always the biggest challenge with any solution like this. So our AI Ops Accelerator, which will deliver this solution, is meant to help you with all of those integration challenges. Like, hey, I'm using all these proprietary databases that I have or systems. Can you integrate with that to get the data out? Because unless you have the data, there's no point of this solution on top of it.
100%. Quick shout out. Hello from Marquez. Hello from Waldorf in Germany, I guess. Hello. Welcome to the stream. And everybody is saying that your camera is frozen. So why don't you just try stopping and starting your camera? Hopefully, you just unfroze. Literally just as you, now you're frozen again.
I think it's not letting me share my screen as well as.
Your screen's fine and your audio's fine. So those are the important things. We don't really care about your face. That's we can wait. And quick comment from Gaurav: talk to your broker, challenge your broker, make it accountable. Love how Himanshu puts it. Awesome. Yes. All right. We should clip that for the highlight reel. All right. So, carry on, my friend.
Aaron, you reminded me. So I wanted to point out the value of the RAG agent, right? So yes, all the analysis was done using your metrics and your logs, all of that. But then the response or the analysis was enhanced by validating all the recommendations with the Solace docs. So these are Solace docs, insight monitors, configuration queues, perf monitoring, that we have live on our documentation, which I've uploaded onto the system. So you're seeing that, we are leveraging our documentation, and then it can leverage. I saw an example where it was referring to some internal knowledge as well. I'll show that in some example. And then this is to show you a visualization of how the orchestrator actually built this response, right? So we have all this lineage data in the product itself, besides just the citation. So the user sends the query, goes to an LLM, figures out which agent to send it. So it goes to the issue analysis agent. Then that agent sends it to multiple agents in parallel. So you have you can't see it because it's a lot of Solace MCP agent, OpenSearch MCP agent, Prometheus MCP agent, and then the RAG agent. So these are the 4 pillars, and then it gets the output and then synthesizes the response and sends it. And then at any of these steps, you can look at what exactly happened, what kind of query was run, and what were the parameters. And if there was an issue with the result, you can then go debug that.
And this is all part of SAM, right? This is nothing to do with. I mean, if we're here just to inspire you about what kind of cool things you can build on top of Solace Agent Mesh, this is the kind of stuff that you can do. You can integrate all these disparate data sources, chain them all together, see what it's doing under the covers. Very helpful for debugging, I guess. Awesome.
Because there are different ways to do AI ops too, and I've been seeing online some stuff about just using skills to do it, right? Like, can I just teach my agent to have multiple skills and then use that? So there are a lot of issues with like sort of context window exploding because of the sizes of the skills, and then can it really leverage all the data that it will get from your logs and all that in the context window, and then can you really trace what was happening to get you the analysis? So the point of AI ops is not just to get an answer, but get an answer that you can trust and rely on, right? So especially in a regulated environment like a bank. All right, so the other one I want to show you is something similar use case, but it's coming in from a ticket. So again, this one I really wanted to show because I think it's super important into the teams and their workflows, right? You're getting a ticketing agent, you're getting a request from an internal app, and it's BAU stuff, right? So here's an incoming Jira ticket that says, hey, I want to start using Solace, want to write the app in Java. How do I get onboarded? And my app will be deployed. So it gives me some information about the request. And we have the Jira gateway. This web hooks out into a Solace broker, converts the ticket creation into an event. Sam gets that event, does the analysis, and then using the Jira MCP agent, then writes the comment back with the analysis. And here's the analysis. Cool. It's all automated, right? And again, all of this is from the institutional document that I just kind of created using AI. And you can see over here that the source is RAG agent and the doc is integration standards. So these could be your bank's, your company's integration standards. And this is your process for onboarding. However long that takes, whatever information you require. And you can see the AI is saying, okay, so I got this information already. There's Java and it's based in New York. These are this is the additional information that I need around your throughput, your messaging patterns, your app name, description, VPN assignment, and then some information about the dev broker inventory that they have in the document. And then Java integration guide. So you see the sample for
you got code and everything.
Exactly. So
that's cool.
Look at that. So all completely built by AI. Again, this is going for the very comprehensive response. You can tailor it to however you want based on your institutional knowledge.
I just had a related idea, but like certain, some customers when my first job at Solace was with professional services, right? And so I would work with customers often embedded in their middleware teams. And sometimes if a customer went out and bought a whole bunch of appliances, hardware appliances, there was often one person who got kind of stuck with all the provisioning of it, right? Working with the data center teams. And they're following this big kind of recipe playbook, how to configure certain things, CLI commands, setting up logging, setting up all the metrics and everything. You could have AI help a lot with that, I guess, because again, institutional knowledge, like here's my checklist, here's my 30 things I got to run through with the new appliance. AI could build you a nice, could help probably with some automated commands if you gave it that capability. I guess whatever you can think of, you could probably build something to do, right?
Yep. All right, so I have 11 minutes. I want to show you something very quickly. So these are all the reports that I've generated. They take a long time just because they're meant to be very comprehensive. So not advocating that this be applicable for everyone.
Doing it live would make for a very long live stream, I guess, eh?
Yeah, but look at that. This is very comprehensive. We'll do a whole scan of your broker and figure all the issues, sort them by criticality, high priority, and all that's good. So very good for running every now and then against your estate, especially over the years as they drift, and still has all the citations and everything. And this is another report which is focused on capacity trend and analysis. So it's looking at your metrics data, your logs data, and trying to figure out how your capacity is trending over time. Right?
Yeah, that's cool.
So look at that. And and then this is the institutional knowledge that again I used AI to kind of generate some templates, and this is kind of stuff that you might have, like what are my brokers' names, which data center they're in, which line of business they belong to, environments, the form factor, serial numbers, and so forth. And then you can chat with the UI and say, which brokers are going end of support this year, so that I can start working on their refreshes. All that stuff. And then
finally, versions or whatever. Yeah. All right.
Finally, I'll show you the eval framework, which I think is extremely important for any AI solution, not just AI ops, any AI solution. And this is something that that will be integrated into the SAM product very soon. But I built this as something on the side to give the customers an idea of what this would be. And the idea is this is real-time evals, and you can see more evals here. So just before the demo started, I ran this query about the error message that I got from the application, and here's what it does. So it takes the query.
Can you zoom in 1 or 2 clicks if it doesn't screw up the formatting too much?
So
that's all right.
It gets the query and then it categorizes it or classifies it. So for example, you might say, hey, how's it going? And you don't want to judge that the response to that query, which might be, hi, I'm doing great. What can I help you with? By looking at how technical the response was.
Don't waste
so
effort on that.
You want to classify the query. So in this case, it says, yep, it's a technical query. And then the framework has been instructed to have these 6 categories, criteria. You can change them as well, and you can give them different weighting based on the classification. So this is a technical query. Here's the query that I had submitted to SAM, and this is the response of the agent, and then this is the feedback by a different agent. So LLM as a judge model, and it's giving me some feedback and then telling me why it judged it in a certain way. So it will give you feedback on, oh, this response didn't really have any action items specified, so you should improve on that. And the idea of this is that it gives you something numerical, something analytical to say, okay, my agents are performing pretty good, right? Like 92% score here. And over time, you can say, okay, this week I got an average score of 72%, pass rate of 66.7%. And if this is like 30%, then okay, your solution is not doing well. Let's improve the agents and look at the feedback and the reasoning section on what's missing from the agents or maybe the prompts that you should be improving. So this is.
I was going to say, like, how are they self-scoring themselves in terms of their, confidence and this and that? Like, is it just the amount of data they have access to, or?
Well, they look at the response and they say, okay, what did my, whoever wants me to perform this task, what are they looking for in terms of criteria? So they look at the response and they say, okay, and it's very like it's not based on what they did before. And you should ideally be using a different LLM for judging, for evaluating, and say, okay, like here's a response that you shared with me, and this is the criteria. Let me just judge it against that criteria. That's it.
All right. Okay.
I mean, you can say sometimes like, who's going to judge that judge? But this is a good way to just kind of get something numerical, so that you're not just, hey, I deployed the AI ops solution and I hope it's working. I hope the quality.
I hope it's good enough. Yeah. This is here. Metrics on metrics.
Exactly. So so that's it from me.
I'm cognizant of the time. We have 5 minutes left. We do want to flash up the landing page that we've made. As Himanshu was saying, the AI Ops is part of an engagement with Solace, where we come in and we'll work with you to help develop custom MCPs, specific monitoring guidelines. Let me just throw up the URL here. I made a little banner about it. So there you go. Type that in if you can't see Himanshu's URL bar, but solace.com/services/catalog/AI-ops-accelerator. We should have made a bit.ly or something as a shortened version of that. But yeah, quite a bit of information there. And Himanshu, you wrote a blog recently, right? Is that up?
Yes. Just went live
perfect.
today. Yeah, so if you would like to share this internally with a stakeholder, with your manager, basically all that I talked about today with a short demo as well, and they can do custom demos for your team as well. And then the point I want to really emphasize is that a lot of AI solutions, these are new solutions, right? So, and a lot of companies might not be set up properly to take advantage of them. The idea really is for us to provide you with a resource, a forward deployed engineer, to come in and help you get the solution up and running as quickly as possible. So can you show to your manager, and can they show to their MD basically that here's our ROI on the AI solution.
Return on investment for sure.
Exactly, right. So because over the years, the last 2-3 years, there've been a lot of investment in AI space. and ROI might not be as transparent. And I think
bit of fatigue on
a lot of stakeholders are starting to question that, is it worth it or not? And I strongly believe that this is worth it, and you can actually numerically show that, okay, look at the time that it took us to close all of our tickets, how that has drastically improved in the last 6 months, right?
Enhance yourself. That's what all this does, is enable you to be better and faster.
Yes.
Awesome. Well done. Look at that time. Are we 4 minutes to go? Oh, you unfroze. Hey, we can see you again. Oh, well done.
Yes.
Are people mad at you from sitting in that coffee shop talking for an hour straight? Did anybody?
No, all good.
No angry looks. That's good.
Nope.
That's good. All right. Well, thank you and apologies to everybody for the not as ideal recording conditions, being in a coffee shop, some background noise. We will see I'll see if I can clean up the audio feed if we get a nice recording from you there from your side, Himanshu. But thanks everybody for joining. Quite a few questions and comments on the live stream. So happy that you were there for that.
I wanted to ask, what do you guys think about AI ops? Do you think this actually is a real thing that helps you out in your job, in your company?
Has anybody started using it yet? Yeah. But if you have a thought before we wrap it up, put in the chat. I'll flash it up here. But of course, you can always we can always continue this conversation over at our Solace community. Let me put that back up. Because you were sharing your screen on a Mac, which has a taller aspect ratio, your screen was kind of covering my banners there at the top and the bottom, so I turned those off. So I put them back on. Community.solace.com. Our question and answer forum. We do a lot of announcements about products. I know that the developer advocate team is always on there posting about stuff they're building. Good. Gaurav, it's another comment, but Himanshu is now part of Spotify Coffee background tracks. Oh yeah. Do you have to pay royalties or do you get royalties? So yeah. Awesome. Marquez says everybody should have and use SAM. Yes, we would like that very much. But even if just a few people do, that's also good. But yeah, it is very cool when you start to play with it and really start to use it, just how quickly you can innovate and iterate and build stuff. I mean, Himanshu, you can speak personally about this. It's like, as you started down this path, it was almost like you were exponentially kind of producing stuff. Like you come back from a weekend, it's like, all right, build 3 more agents, and now it does all this other stuff. It's like,
I actually used AI to build all the agents. So like, here's our open search implementation that I got from some other team internally. Integrate that within this demo, and in a few minutes done. Right.
Awesome.
It would have taken me like weeks to set this up manually myself.
Sure.
So I see the next comment. That's very interesting.
Yeah. Running Roach, building a POC in progress. Are we involved in that? Are we helping? I would be very keen. I know you are a Solace user and lover, I hope. And yeah, let's hope that we're helping out with that if we can. So awesome. Yeah. Thanks for all the comments, everybody. Thanks for joining. Yes, we are involved. Awesome. Great to hear it. Well, hopefully if I make it back to I'm hoping to come to Hong Kong towards the end of the year. I have friends there still, and I have a place to crash. So if and when I do come to Hong Kong, I would love to catch up with you about that. So awesome. Himanshu, thank you for doing this presentation just on your one laptop.
The music just stopped.
I think it did. Yeah. Awesome.
Any
last words before we wrap it up?
No, just want to say thanks for having me, and I'm very excited about this solution. I'm really excited about actually delivering value to the customer. So if you have any ideas, if you would like to speak with us and get us involved with your organization, we're happy to do that. So reach out to either one of us, anyone at Solace.
Yep.
We'll get things started.
Find the blog, LinkedIn. You can find us there. Solace community, find us there. And or come back next month and ping us here. So awesome. Thanks, everybody. We'll see you next week. All right. Or next week. Next month. Bye, Himanshu. Bye, everyone.
Bye. Take care.